Did you miss us? Because we're back with another installment of the Pals Podcast. I'm your co-host, Ricky Liordi.
And my name is George, last name Bootsalis. I'm the Greek one, if you didn't know. Hey, guys. Thanks for tuning in. What a journey it's been. What a year. Who would have thought we're 100 and something episodes in? Thank you all for continuing to support this show. It means the world to us. But you know what would mean slightly more to us? If you could just pop on over to Spotify, Apple, YouTube, and hit that subscribe button on all three. It's just super important for us. Help those downloads go up, and also shows how much you care. The more you subscribe, the more you care. I think that makes sense. But also, if you could leave us a 5-star review, that would be amazing on Apple and Spotify. I believe both have them. Just leave us a 5-star review. Tell us why you like it. We would be very, very appreciative. And maybe we'll be giving out some prizes to whoever leaves us a review. We'll pick some names. I don't know. We got some merch. We got some gear. Anyways, guys, that's all. Rick, who do we have on the podcast?
We have a new pal of ours. Born in Ontario, currently living in Alberta, Jade Eagleson. If you don't know who Jade Eagleson is, he's one of the new up-and-coming rising stars in the country scene in Canada. He was just nominated for a Juno for Country Album of the Year. And if you listen to this episode, you'll even hear him play one of his new singles live on the podcast. That's a Paul's.
Eh?
That's a Pals Podcast exclusive. So, no, but Jade, he was a great guest that we had. He's got a bunch of great songs called, some of them Close, Got Your Name on It, All Night to Figure You Out, and a bunch others. So, great guest, great episode. Take a listen.
Thanks, Jade. Best of luck, and we hope you come out with that hardware. That's all. Let's say a quick thank you to the people who help keep the lights on.
We'd like to give a shout out to our presenting sponsor, Cottage Springs. They make some of the greatest vodka waters, vodka sodas out there. Definitely check them out at your local LCBOs. 0 carbs, 0 grams of sugar. We've said it on this podcast numerous times. Some of the best drinks we've had. They just actually released a new raspberry lime vodka water and a new vodka lemonade. So check those out at your local LCBO or check them out online at Cottage Springs.
That vodka water, by the way, is in like a 4-liter box or something.
Yeah.
That thing looks like a good time. Can't wait to bust that up for the cottage.
Oh, yeah.
Want to give a shout out to RFP Design, our good friends, and our pal Andrew Moretti. They were gracious enough to donate to provide us with this incredibly beautiful couch that has really made our studio space and our online video pop a lot more. They make custom furniture. They do custom beds, custom couches, custom chairs, custom dressers. Anything you need for your house,
custom,
that they can make it. Andrew is not. He is a serial entrepreneur and one who is not shy to take on any new task or project. Nothing's too big or too small. They got to be one of the fastest growing custom furniture manufacturers in Canada. Shout out to them. Shout out to the team over there for making this amazing couch. Shout out to Andrew. Go check them out, guys. www.rfpdesign.com and let them know the pal sent you. And I guess last but certainly not least, give a shout out to Cast, our baby and the newest and hottest social voting platform. Also no social media, but we're trying to get away from that because we're trying to be a little more objective. And what we're trying to do is be the objective assembly of public opinion. How we do so is we remove the friction of participation in online conversations by allowing people to be honest, authentic, unique, objective, and just downright curious. We eliminate the social pressures. We eliminate the influence. We eliminate all of those things that would skew someone's opinion in order to deliver fully objective and transparent results to our users and let them think for themselves. Because at the end of the day, everyone should think for themselves. I think that's about it. Go to joincast.co. to download now. We are in beta, but the app is still fully functional and is up and running. So get on there now to get your usernames and start casting today because it's about to blow up. My pal, LFG. Let's go.
Rolling. Jade, welcome to the Pals Podcast, buddy. It's good to have you on.
Well, thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we were just talking off air, but we know that you got nominated for your first Juno Country Album of the Year. That's obviously got to be something super special for you. What was the feeling like when you got the call?
I was like, it's a funny story because I was in the middle of like cooking breakfast for my son, and then like I didn't really understand what they're saying at first. They said something about a Juno, and I was like, the last thing that ran through my mind was that I was like up for one. So I was like, oh, like who I have to apply for this or whatever, and then finally it kind of I was like, oh, I'm nominated. So it was pretty crazy. It was amazing because like normally when you find these things out, you're on the road or something like that. So I was able to like immediately celebrate it with my wife and son.
That's got to be awesome.
Yeah,
just
it's
like having
pretty
the family around, you're with the two most important people in your life and sharing that special moment.
Yeah, no, it's great. It honestly, it was like, I mean, he doesn't understand what's going on, but my wife did.
Your son's what, 2 now?
He's getting up there. He's getting close. He's 16 months right now.
Okay, so just over 1, yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome though. And then you and your wife got married what, 2-3 years ago?
Yeah, we did. And nice summer wedding.
Yeah, it's awesome.
All right. What's it like trying to produce music, be at home with kind of a newborn, find time to keep honing your craft while also not disturbing sleep times and all that sort of stuff?
It's been challenging. It's funny you say that because I just got a new computer because the one I was using prior to that was just like, it wasn't cutting through the butter. So got this new one, and all I want to do is like make more music and track and, play my banjo or whatever down here. And, it's pretty echoey in this house. So all the sound traveling, and no sooner or later, my son's up kind of saying, like, hey, like, what's dad doing downstairs? And, so it's kind of funny. So during the daytime, it works great. But, yeah, it's definitely challenging when he's napping or whatever else.
How long have you been playing the banjo for?
Man, not too long. So a long time ago, when I was like coming up through the ranks, a lot of my buddies from back home, my buddy Brian Martin really got me into bluegrass. And it was funny when I first met him, he's like, yeah, let's jam or whatever. And it's kind of funny because my mom set it up. It was like a play date almost. It's kind of like, all right, we got to go to this guy's house. And we're like in our 20s or whatever. But yeah, he's picking the banjo. And I already liked bluegrass prior to that. But I decided to pick one up. And basically, times got hard and I had to sell my banjo like 4 years ago or whatever. But you're actually able to tune the string on your bottom E of your guitar and get a banjo tuning. So I still practice and whatnot, and just got a new one now. So it's almost like learning again. It's pretty challenging. I can play one gospel song and that is it.
So I got a funny story about the banjo. So I have zero musical talent, like absolutely zero. I'm the most musically awkward person you will ever meet. But a couple years ago, I had a surgery, so I was out of commission for about a month, 3 weeks, let's call it. So I said, I got all this extra time. I can't do any physical activities. Let me learn an instrument, how to play something. And I'm a big fan of Mumford & Sons. So I said, let me learn how to play the banjo. I'm going to learn how to play the banjo. Picked it up. I did maybe 3 lessons, and I still couldn't get past like the first chapter of like one of the books I bought, and I just gave up.
Well, the banjo rules are extremely tasking. Like it's not easy, right?
Well, it's like my fingers just don't bend like that. It's just.
Yeah, I'd say that's the confusing part.
Yeah.
The best part is that when Ricky told me he was going to do this, he's like, I'm going to buy a banjo. I was like, well, hang on a sec. Like, I'm not super talented by any means in music, but I have a music background. Like, I came up through music in high school and all that. And I was like, I've messed around with the guitar. Some of the, my background's Greek, so there's a Greek guitar I've used, and I find it very difficult. And Rick's like, I'm going to buy a banjo. I was like, okay, like, pump the brakes a little. Maybe rent one and try it. Yeah, like 3 days in, he was, or whatever. He said 3 lessons in, he was done.
Oh, it's tricky. You say Greek, that's amazing. There's a lot of great gut string guitar players from that background. What is the one? I was trying to learn a Greek song the other day, and I cannot remember the name of it. But this is gonna drive me nuts. I think it's Zorba.
Zorba, yeah. Zorba. Basically, that's like a traditional Greek song.
It's such a cool song on the guitar.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, so the Greek guitar is called the bouzouki, and it looks like almost like a big mandolin. Like the back is just very deep and everything. Really, really cool. Has a really cool sound. Very Mediterranean, like Middle Eastern sound. I tried to pick it up for a bit. I really enjoyed it. I was like a percussionist growing up, so I played like drums and all that. That was a little bit easier for me. Like the hand movements on guitar,
well, my wife's from that area, so I had to pick it up. She's from Malta, so it's right off the coast. Yeah, so I was like, I gotta learn some of these, like kind of that neck of the woods.
But yeah, of course.
It's very.
I gotta learn something so when you get out there, you can play.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you been out to Malta?
I did. Yeah, I've been there once, and it was the first time I ever left like North America. So it was very, the culture shock was real. Like I stepped off the plane and like I didn't mean to like look at a place, but I just did. Like my normal everyday attire is like, a band tee or something, and or it's plaid, and then like cowboy boots. So my wife was like what are you doing? Like everyone's gonna think you're like, no one's gonna like you. They're gonna think you're just some like redneck down here. And I'm like, well, I was like, I understand where you're coming from. They're all nice to me though. It's a really great place.
She bought you a pair of loafers or something, didn't she?
No, she made me suffer through it. Like, and I understand why you don't wear cowboy boots down there and it's sandals, because like the blisters are real. Everything's hot and sticky, and it's just it wasn't that great.
Definitely
Did
not
you
like
wear
Calgary.
Sorry, I was gonna say, did you wear cowboy boots the entire time down there?
I did have a pair of sandals so when like we went
Yeah.
to the beach or whatnot, but it was yeah, I definitely got some interesting looks.
Definitely unique. I mean, you won't soon be forgotten out there for sure, though. You're probably the first guy to rock cowboy boots in Malta.
I was able to go on my streaming, and I saw a couple plays. I mean, when I say a couple plays, it's probably my wife, but saw 2 plays. I was like, hey, I made some sort of impact.
Love that.
There you go.
Love that. Well, let's talk about some of your touring pre-COVID, obviously. Starting off, I guess the big break was the Boots and Hearts Emerging Artist Show, correct?
Yeah, it was, and that one for me was really great because I had like my friends and I think we rehearsed for like 3 weeks straight. Some guys from Bob Cage in Ontario and Millbrook, and just kind of like all local boys, and we all went out to the Boots and Hearts thing and did it. We never really expected anything to come of it because we were playing like real country music, and sure enough, people were digging it, and we made it through, and we're just really grateful that we were. There's a lot of talent in that showcase, so we're happy to be even among them. Nevertheless, win.
Oh, that's awesome.
When did you kind of know? I mean, to even jump a little further back, when did you know you wanted to pursue this as a career? Or I mean, was it ever in your mind to fully pursue your career from like a childhood, or did it just one day you're like, you know what, had enough of the working life, I want to chase this now?
Well, for me, like I always wanted to be a musician. Like my mom's a musician, and on my father's side, my aunts and uncles, they all play. They never chased the dream or anything. And my grandpa, he played every night. After chores were done, he'd go in and sit in the living room and pick a gospel song or an old Hank Snow song. So it was always around me. I think that I started pursuing it. Like I always was kind of pursuing it, playing here and there, but I think I was out west. So funny enough, I moved here when I was 19 to work in plumbing and sheet metal for my uncle's company, and I can't remember what I was doing. I was just having a miserable day, to say the least. And when you're dealing with sheet metal too, it's just like you're banging tin all day, and it's just like it doesn't feel good on the eardrums. And I'm too stubborn to wear earbuds. But anyway, I was just kind of like, I do enjoy this. I love trades. I love working with my hands and stuff. But like, it's like, do I want to be doing this? And then, someday when I'm 60, look back and say like, I should have taken my shot, or do I take my shot? So I had a few interesting conversations with my family and said like, I'm moving back. I'm going to try pursuing music. And some of them were like, you're crazy. And others were like, all right. Like my dad and mom were kind of like, right away, super supportive. But it was a pretty interesting conversation to have. Like when you're, 21 and you're like, hey, like, I'm almost halfway through this trade right now. I could finish it or I could pursue my dream. And the thing with trades is once you quit, like after a year, they kind of lapse and you have to start all over. So I was like, all right. So I moved back home and, sure enough, things went really well. And it was just like playing the local bars and meeting the right people. And I was blessed to have all those things happen.
It's got to be a little scary. I mean, well, I'm not going to make an assumption. Was it when you left, was it kind of scary being like, I'm going to start over again, wasted a year, let's say, or were you like, you know what, screw it. Like, even if I have to go back, I'd be more regretful had I not chased it.
Yeah, that's kind of my mindset. I was like, I've already got this, and I have skills that'll carry with me through my entire life. And I was really blessed to be in that company and learn from the journeyman and how to do things. I mean, I wouldn't ever call me to fix your HVAC. That'd be the last person I'd call. And it's the only thing I'm really good at with plumbing is soldering. I don't know. I wouldn't hire me. That's what I'm saying. But,
it's a good thing it's a good thing you got out then.
yeah. I mean, maybe I could have got better, but it wasn't looking good. But I like woodworking and stuff like that. That's my probably stronger suit. But yeah, no, I was like, you know what? I could always come back to this. It's always going to be there. And everyone was really supportive. They're just like, all right, like, yeah, you can do that. There'll be a job here if you need it, obviously. And yeah, it worked out for the best. But I was kind of like I'm glad I did it, because I knew if I didn't try, then I would regret it for the rest of my life. And I didn't want to be like didn't want that negative weight with me for the rest of my life. Just kind of thinking of the what ifs, because it can turn into a lot of like resentment and whatever else. So I'm glad I chose to come back home.
What'd you want to be when you were a kid?
A farmer. That was my first choice. And it was interesting because nowadays, like, well, I have a lot of like siblings and family and stuff that that my dad's got the farm now, and he's running it and doing just dandy. So and my sister's in there all the time helping out. But when I was coming up, that was what I was expecting myself to do. And then it was just like there's no money in it, obviously. So it's like I didn't want to sponge off my parents. I mean, it's funny I say that because I moved back in with them after, but I didn't want to sponge off them. So kind of took a different approach. But I've always loved music. I really have. I always enjoyed listening to music, playing music. And I was like, if I can do this as a career, then, that's amazing.
That's awesome.
Is there, when you were, now that you've started to like come up and, make a name for yourself now, obviously being nominated for a junior has got to be super cool. But now, do you have any like bigger sights? Do you have any sights set on bigger things? Is there like a venue you have in mind that one day you dream of playing, or a show, a festival, something like that now you're pushing the bar even higher?
I would say like my dream would be to play the Grand Ole Opry. Like that's a big, or the Ryman, like one of those two kind of down there. That's where all my heroes have played, like Randy Travis, George Jones, and all the country greats. Like that would be a dream to kind of stand in the same spot and play a tune there like they did before. And that's my goal. And obviously breaking into the States would be really great if we could accomplish that. So we're just one step at a time.
Of course. And you're talking about the kind of the greats that people kind of you look up to. Is there anyone that kind of in the country bluegrass type scene right now that you kind of think highly of, look up to for the reference or inspiration?
I really love what Midland's doing, and I really love what some of the John Party stuff as well, because they're kind of bridging the gap. Like they're doing what country radio the format is now, but they're also keeping it like really country and traditional too. So listening to some of the stuff they put out is like gives me ideas for how I want to do it, because I'd rather just like cover Alan Jackson songs all day if I could, but it's not going to work on the format. So seeing how they do it has been a pretty big inspiration to me.
Very cool.
I want to ask about, so some of your tracks, obviously we were checking, millions of views on YouTube, which is amazing. What was the first one that really kind of blew up that you knew, okay, this is going to be it? Like, I know Got Your Name On It was a big one in, I think 2018. So what was the first one where you were like, this is taking me to that next level?
I'd say it had to be Got Your Name On It, because by then I think we were releasing the next song, and then randomly, like we're gearing up for the new stuff, and then randomly this thing just blew up overnight. Like we're getting, I don't even know how many views in an hour we got at one point, but like it just went from, because I thought the thing would get like 100,000 views. Like that's not because of like the way we did it or anything like that. It's just because like I'm a new artist, and they don't really get that support right out of the gate. But right when we kind of thought it was peaking, things just blew up. And then we got on I can't remember, Artist on the Rise or something like that in the States, and then just like an insanity ensued after that, and it was just like a million views like a week for a little while there. And as soon as that happened, and that after that, like some U.S. stations started picking up the song, and we're like, this is insane. And at that point in my life, I don't think I was ready for all of that to happen. So we didn't really chase any of those opportunities, but we kind of sat on it and we're like, all right, well, we'll wait this out and, come back in a few years when, I'm there, because I was really just a farm kid, and all of that was a lot to take in.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like, I think, so I just pulled it up right now. Got Your Name On It has almost 50 million views. Like,
Yeah,
it's 200,000 likes. It's like an insane amount. Like, for us, we post a podcast that gets like 10,000 views. Like, we're like, yeah, that's crazy. So I can't imagine what, 50 million is like.
I feel like it's just, I don't believe it still. Like, I really don't. It's like, because we're competing with like some of these like U.S. artists, but like, playing in Canada and then through everything going on right now, you don't really get to live through that. So it's like you're kind of sitting at home watching the numbers, and it's just like I'm really excited to get back out and and really live in that, and travel to some of these places where folks are listening to the music.
You made a comment about like when it was started to kind of, let's say, take off like that, you wasn't really prepared and to kind of capitalize on those opportunities. We actually had, I think it was Ryan Shepard, a producer and DJ, who made a similar comment. He produced a song with Loud Luxury that just went viral. Like it was massive. It blew up overnight. And he was telling us how for him a similar thing happened. Like Loud Luxury was kind of gearing up for potential success, and they anticipated a little bit of it over time. So when it rose, they were ready. And Ryan said, I kind of maybe missed a little bit of the opportunity, and I wish I had prepared a little bit more. So, obviously he's now continued to grow and all that stuff. But I guess what I'm trying to get at, and my question towards you is like, was it when that happened and it catapulted, was it a little bit like, were you a little remiss saying, I wish we were a little bit better prepared to capitalize on these? Or were you just like, what, this is great. I'm still happy with what happened. And now I just got to make sure I'm more prepared for the next time something like this happens.
Yeah, I think it's exactly where you set the bar. And, we, it wasn't for a lack of belief that this song would do great, but it was, we just kind of set the bar to this point, and we'd like, it'd be really awesome if we got to this point, and then we blew past it. And it was just kind of like, whoa, okay, well now what do we do? There's no game plan in place. So, since then I've been like really, tenacious that I make sure that all this stuff is set up. Like, I don't think I'll ever have another song that did what that did. But it's if I do, then I'm prepared to like make things happen. But like when that was all happening, like I didn't think to tie in my social media to it. I didn't think to do a million different things that would have made my social media and everything else around it grow. But my head wasn't there. I was just watching the streams go up and just really happy people like the song, and I'm still like that. But it's like sitting back, I'm like, oh man, like I should have done that probably, or I should have done this as well. But lessons like this just teach you how to be prepared for the next time.
It's kind of, and that's a great, I guess, mindset to have of it. Like you don't seem like you're like regretful at all, and it's kind of that it's like a double-edged sword, right? You can either really prepare for it, and then maybe it doesn't come when you want it to, so then you start feeling upset and bad and saying, well, maybe I set the bar too high, maybe I thought too highly of myself. So then on the other side, you might maybe miss a little bit here or there and look back, but at the same time I'm guessing you'd probably rather be in the camp that it catapults than setting it here and vice versa.
Yeah, like I'm just like really glad that it had the success it had, and we all are really. We're happy. It's a cool bragging right if we ever need it, but it's like other than that, it's like if something in the future like that does happen, then we'll be prepared. But we're every day I'm thankful that the video did what it did. It is Ben Knechtel, the director. He's done like Carly Rae Jepsen's Call Me Maybe. So this isn't his first, but it was a first for me, and I'm really blessed that I got to work with him.
And you know what? It's sometimes.
I was gonna say having being nominated for a country album of the year, I'm sure is a good indication of things to come. So I mean, I'm sure there's gonna be some more opportunities coming in the future. So I think you're heading in the right direction, which is great.
I hope so. We'll see.
No, but even like the first time that happens, obviously you're super excited, and you don't think about in that heat of the moment. You're not thinking about, oh, I need to do this, this, and this, because you just appreciate what's happening. Like we've had a similar situation. Am I for? Oh no, I thought I was supposed. We had a similar situation happen with our podcast. You know, we had a little bit of a viral moment, and in that heat of the moment, we were just so in awe. Like, this is happening. You know, we had Tom Brady, Mark Wahlberg comment on our podcast, and we're like, holy crap, this is unbelievable. Meanwhile, it's like, okay, we should have been, messaging everybody in the world and trying to get them on the podcast and doing this, but we were just sitting there watching the numbers skyrocket because we've never had that moment. So I know what you mean. And, when it does happen and we have other situations similar to that, we were more prepared the second time around to capitalize on it. But I completely get what you're saying on that.
I feel like it's like there's like that starstruck factor, and I was in the same boat where I was so fascinated with everything going on. I didn't even think about anything else to do. It's just like, this is amazing. And I still think maybe if I did something, if I tried capitalizing in another way, then I might have taken away from the magic that was happening. So you know what? Maybe we did what we needed to do. So it's I can live with that forever. I'm just happy that it's still doing its thing.
Is it a little bit, I don't know if bittersweet's the right word, but I think I'm guessing the Junos are going to be, they're like remote. They're not like in person. Are they going to be like, how is it being done? And if you're not, not being in attendance, does that take away from it at all? Or is it even just, the thought of being there and being up on that stage and having your name there is kind of accomplishment enough? Yeah,
I'm assuming it's going to be virtual. I haven't heard any different. I could be completely wrong and maybe need to catch a flight tomorrow, but it's or start driving. That's a miserable drive too, but it's really awesome to be like there and just like even have my name on the TV for a quick second. I'm like happy that it's definitely getting people's attention, and that's amazing just to be nominated.
Awesome. Well, this might even be a good spot to take a little song break here. I know your team said that you were interested in playing your new song for us, which would be super cool because we've never had anything like this. Yeah. So this might be a good little segue for it.
Let's do it.
I love this. You know what I'm even thinking is like, what happens? Like, are we gonna get flagged on YouTube for this? Because technically, if you're playing it, we're allowed to post this, but I have no idea how it even works.
No, you're good. We actually own the masters on this one, so you're
okay.
Good.
So we're good. No one's gonna take this video down from us. We're good.
I hope not. We'll see.
I love it. All right, take it away.
All right. Are you gonna slide all tied up next to me? Or make me work a little bit harder? Are you gonna keep that kiss on your pretty red lips? Make me wait a little bit longer. Ooh, I'll do anything you want right now. If you don't know how much I want you, girl, we got all night to figure it out. Saved up a little bit of that folding money, put on a little smell good, cleaned all the muddy off my boots, did it all for you. Took a little looking, but I found you a daisy, trying to cook up a little drive you crazy plan, doing all I can. Are you gonna slide all tied up next to me? Make me work a little bit harder? Are you gonna keep that kiss on your pretty red lips? Make me wait a little bit longer. Ooh, I'll do anything you want right now. If you don't know how much I want you, girl, we got all night to figure it out. Baby, if you want, we could roll into town, but I know another road that I'd rather roll down with you. What's a man gotta do to even get a little more close to you? Say a slow dance in a harbor smooth. The way that you're smiling, it's got me thinking maybe you're feeling it too. Are you gonna slide all tied up next to me? Or Make me work a little bit harder. Are you gonna keep that kiss on your pretty red lips? Make me wait a little bit longer. Ooh, I'll do anything you want right now. If you don't know how much I want you, girl, we got a whole lot to figure it out. Are you gonna slide all tied up next to me? Or make me work a little bit harder? Are you gonna keep that kiss on your pretty red lips and make me wait a little bit longer? Ooh, I'll do anything you want right now. If you don't know how much I want you, girl, we got a whole lot to figure it out.
Solid. I love that.
Thank you.
Do
First,
you know
that's
what's one
that's
thing
a
I love
tough-
about country? So, hold on, Jordy. So, I'm not the biggest country fan, but I hear country music and I just want to start like stomping my feet, dancing around, have a nice cold beer in my hand, and just like, yeehaw, let's go.
Yeah, that's like some of the stuff that's like, that's what you strive for, right? Is that feeling. I remember like my first country concert. I was like, man, I was like, this is the feeling. It's just like a feel good stuff.
I love that. That was the first ever live performance on the Pals podcast. So, Jade, thank you for that. That was awesome.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Of course. I wanted to say, so just on Ricky's note as well, like myself growing up in, like I grew up with musical background, a little bit of musical background, but there was always one genre, even like when I was young, that I didn't catch on with early. And honestly, it was country. But over the years, attending music festivals, concerts, stuff like that, it really started to grow on me, kind of like early university days. I mean, we went to Western, so a lot of the bars they're playing it. And I'd never forget the one that really, really made me actually become a kind of a country fan, like not a super diehard one, but one that I listen to when I'm, in the car and all that. And it was seeing Chris Stapleton play at Coachella. And since then, I mean, I've kind of gotten more into the genre, but yeah, he when I saw him play live, like, this guy, he's super talented, and that kind of made me fall for it.
He's very traditional too in the way he sings. So it's like, it's funny that people are like, oh, I don't like country music, because a lot of it's like pop affiliated, right? And like Chris just has a way of bringing both worlds together and still making them true to the sound of country. So I remember the first time I heard him on the radio, I thought it was Travis Tritt. I was like, oh, like Travis Tritt made a new song. It's like, this is great. And then I looked it up. I was like, there's something weird about this voice. It's different. It's like got its own unique thing. And then sure enough, it was Chris Stapleton.
Yeah.
George, is that the concert we went to 2 years ago?
Which concert?
Remember me and you and I can't remember who we were with, but we went to a country concert at Budweiser Gardens or Budweiser Stage or Molson Amphitheater, whatever it's called.
It might have been.
Might have been.
Yeah.
He's got the big beard.
Chris Stapleton and somebody else was performing. Yeah, it was him and someone else.
Yeah,
I forgot we saw him there. It was cool.
Well, I just remember because, again, for me, country music is great when you're outdoors, you've got a cold drink in your hand, I'll throw on my cowboy hat. Somehow I end up buying a cowboy hat every concert I go to, and I just never find them after. It's like,
you got to get it like a good one.
I rock them, I throw them, a nice plaid or flannel shirt, and I'm just ready to rock and roll.
I'll show you. 1 minute here. You gotta get yourself one of these. You get like a case for it, and then
wow.
This is pretty fancy. Let's see.
This is what we need.
Yeah, you'll never lose this, and if you do, then your bank account's gonna suffer.
Yeah, mind you, your cowboy hats are a little more expensive than mine. I'd probably buy mine at right outside the concert venue.
But it's funny because like when I had the cheaper cowboy hats, I never took good care of them. I was like, all right, like, I don't care if this gets rained on or whatever. And actually, speaking of rain, my first good one I ever bought, it got rained on pretty hard at a gig in Quebec, and it was just deformed after that forever. But so I got this one, and it's my baby. Like I carry it around, and it's in a case, and get some interesting looks at the airport. They're like, what is in the metal case? But
it's like, yeah, this is my carry-on. Sir, what's in it? Cowboy hat?
Yeah, no, there's definitely most people in Calgary know what it is, but like if you get into like random places like flying out of Ontario or somewhere like that, like they kind of like, all right, well, what weapons in there? And it's like, well, it's a hat. They're like, okay, like what's
The weapon I
code for
use
hat?
on stage.
Speaking of Calgary, is it safe to assume you were out there at some point? You went to the Stampede.
Yes, I got to play there. What year was it? It was 2018, I believe, or 2019. Yeah, yeah. So it's 2019. I played there, and it was the biggest crowd I've ever played for. And it's like all just like straight up country fans. Like they're just like you play country and they're good to go. And it was amazing. I've never seen so many cowboy hats in one place, and they're all the same color. So it was like a sea of these Stampede hats everywhere, and it's just like, oh my goodness, that's crazy.
Well, talking about some of the shows you've played, what are some of your favorite shows you've ever played, or in some of the favorite cities that you've been to because of shows?
I'd say, like Stampede was definitely up there, for sure. Just because like I've never had so many people like screaming my song back at me. I didn't even know how many people knew it. So it was, some of them might have been making up the words. Who knows? But
that's me at a concert when I'm drunk, had a couple drinks. I'm like,
it sounds legitimate to me. I was like, maybe they have the melody at least. But yeah, there's that one. Boots and Hearts was pretty awesome, and I went on tour with Gord Bamford, and a lot of those like dive bars or whatever were a ton of fun to play, and it was a good way to come up because it was like that's what I was accustomed to playing before I ever toured. So it was like I'm just doing the same thing I always do, except in a tour bus going across the country and seeing all these other dive bars. So it was that experience was cool. I'm trying to think. Boots obviously was a big one. I don't know if I said that already, but yeah, like the festivals, I always have a ton of fun. I think the coolest moment I had was at the Big Valley Jamboree, and my band actually wasn't able to make it because the Toronto airport, I guess, like the power went out. So basically, we had this big show in the morning we had to do, and we had no band. So we had all the set figured out and all that stuff. And so luckily, and thank the heavens for this, I had my steel guitar player and I had my banjo player with me, and we just did like a gospel Sunday. Like it was like,
wow, love that.
And I thought the promoter, the guys would be livid because obviously they're paying for the full experience, and we're like, listen, man, they can't come. And I was a little aggravated just because like it was like, come on, like we had this show planned out and we weren't able to do it, but it ended up being a moment that I always remember just because I was terrified. I thought people were just gonna leave, and all these people were singing like these gospel songs and old country songs, and it's that one of those moments where it's like I love what I'm doing, and it was just like you in an acoustic session, and people still showed up, and it really reinforced the love of music for me in that moment.
That's great.
That's awesome. I guess that's the nature of it, right? Like, I'm sure it's probably gonna, not to say circumstances like that are gonna happen more, but in general, I'm assuming, as you continue to grow, as productions get bigger, as just more moving parts in the show, I'm assuming those kind of happen, right? So I guess like learn to roll with those punches, having to adapt and make the best of it kind of comes with the territory.
Yeah, I think in the future we fly everyone out the night before because we had like it was gonna be a tight day anyway. Say they made it, we would still have like picked them up, got to the show, rehearsed, and like that's kind of normal stuff. Like right now, having like a year off, like sitting on my couch, that seems crazy, but like that's what we used to do. So yeah, no, after that moment, we're like, all right, everyone's here a night early, even if it costs extra for me. It's just like. I was just mortified when that happened because like there's like 4 people that were supposed to be there that are now not there.
Yeah, but you know what? Too, I'm sure a lot of people in the crowd love the fact that they got to see a completely different set. Like I know a lot of artists now they'll do their generic sets, but then they book shows specifically under a different alias, or they'll do just an acoustic set or a different set. I keep thinking about a lot of DJs that do live sets now as opposed to they're just typical DJ sets, or a lot of, rock or country artists that do more acoustic shows, solo shows now. So they probably appreciated it too.
Yeah, it was a cool experience. And it was like I never imagined I'd do an acoustic set on one of the biggest festival stages in Canada. I thought it would be a big show, but I think that's what made it all the more amazing and interesting.
Have you got to play many shows down in the States?
Not yet. So it's like it's complicated there just because like of visas and all that stuff and kind of navigating through what you need to get together to play those shows. But it's definitely on our radar. We have a decent fan base down there in certain parts of the States, and I would love to get down and play some of those bars or those stages. It's a dream of mine for sure.
Definitely, definitely. What are some cities that you would love to play in? I know you said the two venues earlier on, but what are some other cities? Gosh, I can't even ask questions today. I'm stumbling on every question I ask. Holy crap!
It's
one of those
been
days.
a long week for me too, so I understand. It's been like every Saturday you're just kind of like, oh man, I'm just like, don't worry, I stumble too, and I have really bad ADHD. So if I'm not like walking or like fidgeting, that's why I'm like this all the time. So if I'm not walking or whatever, I can't. I don't have a clear thought. Like I was laughing at my wife because we're going through her health app, and I didn't leave the house all day, but it was like an interview day, so I was on the phone. But I pace when I'm when I'm on the phone, I walk everywhere, and like I mean I didn't leave the house and I had like 11,000 steps or something like that, and my wife's like where the hell did you go? Like you didn't leave the house, and then I was like I was literally. And the worst part is like I didn't walk anywhere except around my kitchen island. So I walked like I guess 9 kilometers around the island in my kitchen.
Come on.
That was the same with me when we first started doing the virtual ones. We didn't do them via Skype. We literally just phoned each other in, and George held the phone up to the microphone, like our first maybe like 3 or 4 during COVID. So I would plug in my headphones and I would just pace in my bedroom and I just walk around the bed back and forth. Because again, I'm the same way. I just walk back and forth.
Yeah.
And like the next morning I wake up and I'm like, man, my legs are a little sore. Like how much did I walk? Because this is at the end of the day, a 2 hour, an hour and a half podcast, pacing back and forth. I'm like, man, I'm dead.
Yeah, it's not like my feet were killing, and I was like, I don't understand. Like I didn't leave the house, but like then Marina, my wife, went on my phone and was like, how did you have like this many steps? Like she went out for a walk and she was like active all day, and like I was like quadrupling what she like put down, and I was like, I don't know what I did. Like it must be glitching. And then I thought about it, and I was like, I was on the phone for 5 hours, walking in a circle. I was like, I hope to God I didn't walk 9 kilometers the island in my kitchen, but I guess I did. It's pretty embarrassing.
What are some other hobbies you have? Like, obviously outside of music, what do you do in your free time?
I'm just started getting into the video games again, man. I was like grew up playing them, and now that I have all this downtime, when I'm not like taking care of the little one, it's like sign off with my buddies at whatever time and just play Call of Duty. It's just amazing.
We have a couple buddies that do it too. Some of our buddies literally crush it.
Oh yeah, it's a good way to connect with people too. That because most of my friends are in Ontario, so it's like easy to hop on there with them and see what they've been up to and just have fun in the interim.
So did you go from Ontario to Calgary, back to Ontario, and now you're living in Calgary again? Correct?
Yeah, it's weird.
So what's with is it just because like more of your music and stuff is based out of Calgary, or?
So what happened is we were living in Ontario on the farm, and like I was kind of expected I'd be like touring and everything. So when we had the little one, my wife's mom and dad live out here, and I was like, I'd rather you be out here when I'm on tour, so you have their support with Levi, like when we're doing this. So we moved out here, and sure enough, there was no shows anyhow. But they've been, needless to say, they've still been an amazing help for us, and it's been really cool actually, like getting to know them as well.
Yeah, of course, spending time with the in-laws must be nice, right? And especially having an extra set of hands too.
Yeah, because it was like, it's funny because when I asked her dad like to marry her, I'd only met him like once or twice before, so it was super awkward. Like now I know him really well, but like looking back, it's crazy.
Here's this European dad thinking, "Wow, my daughter's gonna marry a guy that wears cowboy boots to Europe. Holy crap!"
Yeah, I know. Luckily, he's the Canadian one, so he is. Oh,
he's okay. So you got lucky. Lucky. So imagine asking him; he'd be like, "Son, take off those boots now."
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, come on!" Like, he's it was her mom. Her mom was the one that grew up down in Malta for, I think it was most of her life, and then they just kind of visited throughout like the summers and stuff. And she'd gone back down there for a while, and I went down to visit her. But it was interesting, needless to say, because he was just like, he knew me and he knew my core values, but like he didn't know me, right? So like here's this guy sitting on his couch, and it was terrifying. There's never been a scarier moment in my life than like, because I asked both their mom and dad separately, her mom and dad separately, and it was both times like her mom was like, yeah, awesome, but like he's like one of those like dads, you know? So like he's kind of like, all right, like I think he's gonna say yes anyway, but you know, like I just want to get the question out, but he's like stringing me along, kind of saying like, all right, so what do you think about like this, and what's your plans here? What are your intentions? And because he knew it was up, and then I finally just like I got to ask it, and he's like, "Yep, sure." I was like, "Come on, this whole time you just." But
so wait, asking him was more terrifying than performing in front of thousands of people?
I'd say so, because like, what if he said no? Like, you know, like that's, yeah, I would have married her anyway, but it's just the way I was brought up. I feel like if I didn't ask her dad, then my old man would just be like, "Come on, like what is wrong with you?" Like it would just be a never-ending thing. So I'm glad I did, and I'm glad he said yes.
Love that.
Yeah, you got it. I mean, traditionally speaking, I think it's like that old way, right? You gotta ask for their hand. So I mean, kudos to you. Honestly, like me and Ricky haven't had to get to that point with anybody yet. But even in my head, thinking about it, it does seem kind of
Georgie soon.
Maybe we'll see.
Yeah, everyone's got to do it.
Yeah, you have to ask. I feel like it's just I don't know. We're both European, and that's kind of how we were raised, and I just feel like that's the proper thing to do, especially if you know your partner has a relationship with their family. I just feel like it's something that should be done. Yeah, that being said, I'm so far away from that. I got years before I have to worry about that.
And the next worst thing that happens is we have your wedding ring on. It deforms your finger. I didn't even notice. I took it off for the first time, and Lord knows how long. And I was like, my finger's like shrunk. Like the rest of it's grown, and the rest of it's interesting. So it's like it's the only bad thing that comes out of marriage is just like a deformed hand. But other than that, you're good.
That's awesome. Glad to hear all good signs so far. I wanted to ask something. So when I looked up like where you're from originally in Ontario, I'm gonna be honest, I've never heard of this town, and I'm gonna pronounce it as best I can. Is it Baileyborough?
You nailed it. It's Baileyborough.
All right. So it's outside of Peterborough, I guess, but like it's a small town. Like what's it like growing up out there?
It's a small town within a small town is the best way to explain it, because like the town, like my address was a Millbrook address, but like we were a mile out from the Baileyborough gas station. So it was pretty interesting. It's because like there's these two small towns. They all go to the same high school and everything like that, but it's like Baileyborough, you literally blink and miss it. Like there's a gas station, there's a place called Doo-Doo's, which I urge everybody to go to. If you're passing from Toronto to Peterborough on Highway 28, let's stop in at Doo-Doo's, and they have like the best butter tarts, hands down the best butter tarts you'll ever have in your life, and good breakfast too. So it's I've been there, I frequent there all the time.
Jordan, you gotta make sure you cut that clip and send it to them. That's a big plug right there.
Oh yeah, no, Diane they're just sweet people, and you know you'll probably run into half my family at certain parts. I think my Uncle Gordon goes there for breakfast sometimes, and you know that's what farmers do. You know that they go to that local diner, they have breakfast, and then you know they get on with their day and harass their young ones to do all the hard work.
I love that.
Yeah, so that's being big. We're big city guys, right? Grew up in Toronto and all that stuff, but I kind of have I can visualize a bit what it's like. I mean, my dad came from Europe as well, from a very small town. So when you go back, it's like, you know, maybe even small. It's like 500 people, so really, really small. You know, you always kind of like being growing up in a big city, you always kind of dream of like what it would be like to be in a town like that, and the thought of it's kind of cool. You know, you have those local spots. It's more everyone knows everybody rather than just being a number and a face in a crowd out here. Seems kind of cool to have that connection with the community.
Yeah, it's strange because it's like it's busy in different ways. Where like there's the hustle and bustle of the city, everything's kind of local and it's handy. Like you're just kind of busy. Like you have to chop wood for the winter, or just simple stuff like that. So it's just as crazy, but in a different sense. Like I wouldn't suggest you walk off to take a morning pee like in Toronto off your front porch, but you can do that in the country. It's it's kind of
the perks.
Yeah, there's wins to being in either place. And for me, actually moving to Calgary, we our place here is still kind of in town, so it's really weird because as growing up on a farm, we weren't able to really order food most of the time. So now that I have like Uber Eats or whatever, or I just call the restaurant, I've been trying to do that more than not. But it's handy. Like you can get anything you want. So it's like through this whole COVID thing, I'm just like, well, what is there to do today? And I'm like, I could get a wrap from this place, or like this place has good steaks. So it's terrible for me to be in the city because I just like I'm not productive. I can go upstairs and cook, or go to a grocery store that's a minute away from my place. Like, but I just haven't been doing that.
The convenience gets you for sure.
Oh, it does 100%.
Yeah. I wanted to I have one question. Yeah, being out in Calgary, I guess, is very similar, I would say, to being in like the south of the States in terms of the music scene, more like the country and the rock and roll and all that stuff. Would you ever relocate if your career continued? Would you consider ever relocating to like a Nashville or a Texas or something like that to pursue it further, or you kind of want to stay true and stick to Canada?
Oh, absolutely. We're actually planning to move to Nashville in September. So in the fall, we're going to be heading down that way, and Lord willing, we'll start off there and see what happens. But it's been a big discussion. We are going to go there last year. Couldn't really afford it at that moment, but now we're kind of been saving our pennies, and we're like, all right, let's do this. Like, let's make the leap. But so we'll see. I'm really excited, nervous, all of that.
Have you been down there?
I was gonna say, if you make it down there, me and Georgie are big Tennessee Titans fans, so we'll definitely catch you down there for a football game, and then see you play at the local spot later.
Genius! I love it. Man, I like the Titans too. I'm an Eagles fan, but they're my second favorite for sure.
Okay, so we got that.
Have you been down to Nashville just to like take in? I mean, just to visit, like taking the scene from that perspective?
Oh yeah, I've done like all my albums down there. Like that's where we do like the majority of recording, and
cool.
It's amazing. It's a really creative place, and everyone really builds each other up. It's like a really great sense of community. Like everyone's like, hey, like what kind of music you into? Everyone's actually like genuinely interested in what you have to do or say.
Yeah, it's an awesome city. Everyone is very friendly, but even from like you talked about earlier playing like the local dive bars and watering holes and all that stuff, and then like playing in like Nashville's so interesting because like the strip there and everything, it feels like it big and glitzy and everything's there, but then you walk in and everyone feels like a dive bar for the most part. So it's got a really cool balance, and I can't even imagine from the artist side what it's like to play those venues that are historic, but it's got such a really cool feel to it because it looks like Vegas Boulevard almost, but like the country sense. But it feels kind of homey as well when you're there.
It really does. It's such an amazing experience. It's just like, holy Liptons. Like, it's pretty nuts. Like I the first time I was down there, like I wanted to move there immediately. I was like, hey, I don't have the money to live here, but like maybe I'll just like find a sidewalk the rest every night. I was so in love with the city and the town, and it's still very country, like down home, and like everyone holds the door open for each other kind of attitude. But it's just like, people are also into music, and they are actually interested in what you're doing, and everyone has the same agenda. They just want to see everyone succeed, and that's kind of like the narrative I want in my life. That's the narrative I want my son to follow in his life, and just building people up, and it's all there.
That's awesome.
Really cool.
Jade, I want to ask something kind of random. What's one thing that people don't know about you, or something that they can't Google, they can't find online? What's like that secret thing about you? Or the maybe not so secret thing?
Well, my new thing now is I love cooking. That's like a new thing that I haven't really told anybody. And mind you, I only have like a one meal special.
What is it?
It's literally steak. I make the best steaks. I just got a cast iron pan, and I would like to challenge like any other country music artist to beat my steak. I don't think they can.
Wow.
I'm very confident.
That's it. You got shear it, put the butter in, you're pouring it on top.
Oh yeah. It's the secret is in like the way you season it, and I found like a little secret that I've been using, and it's like for the first while though, because like I was like, what's my new hobby going to be during COVID? And I was like, I got to cook steaks, and the first like while it was pretty bad, like just because like I didn't know you need to let them get to room temperature, like I didn't know any of that stuff, so it's like I'd cook it and I'd be like, why did last time my steak cook like the right way, and now it's like blue rare, like what's going on, right? So I was like it is a really interesting learning experience, but I think I've got it now. And I might be cocky. Like there's probably someone out there that could just roast me when it comes to this, but I think I'm great. So that's all that matters.
Well, you were the first one to do a live performance here, so maybe once you get settled in Nashville, and we find a football game to go to, we'll find another country singer or musician out there who has a claim in cooking. We'll bring it together. We'll do the first cook-off on the Pals podcast.
Not if they're from the States, man. Those guys own barbecue. I'd get destroyed. I would get demolished.
We'll stick to the Canadians then.
Yeah, and if we do pick one, just like make sure that like they don't know how to cook. Like you got to figure out. Like, does this person look like he can cook? No. Okay, this is easy.
We'll give them the shitty pan. You get the good one.
Just like I don't know what you need to do. Just like spray paint it or something. Just they won't tell the difference. We'll sabotage what they're doing.
The Canadian, we're gonna stick together, us Canadians here. We got you. Don't worry.
Perfect.
So Jade, what's on the obviously COVID is limiting a lot of travel and a lot of shows, obviously, but what's on the agenda for 2021 for you?
Well, we got a ton of new music. Like I've been blessed enough that all day I have time for writing, so that's what I've been doing every day, and connecting with some amazing people that I would not normally get the opportunity to write with, just because it's like normally their schedules are full with writes and stuff. So it's been really amazing getting to meet all these new like individuals and be working with them. So yeah, we're creating a new like album. That's the direction we're heading for. But we're not sure what songs we're gonna pick. We're not sure what we're gonna do, but we're getting there one day at a time.
I love that.
Awesome.
Well, Jade, we're nearing the part, George. Unless you got anything else.
No, this has been a pleasure catching up. Like just getting to know you, and obviously before Ricky takes it away here, best of luck with this, like with what's happening. Congrats again with the Juno nomination. It's a big deal, Canada, and big deal in the music scene. So hopefully we continue to see more 50 million download hits in the future, and all the best with that.
I appreciate it so much, and thanks so much for taking the time to talk to me, guys. I really appreciate it and really enjoyed this.
No, of course. And obviously, that being said, anytime you're in the city of Toronto, please reach out to us. We can do a cooking. We can have some steaks, or you can come to the studio. We'd love to hear some more music and have you play live in our studio too. That'd be awesome. Just in general, we always say this, but one of the coolest parts about having this podcast is that we get to sit down with such amazing and brilliant people, and you're obviously doing amazing things. And we wish you all the best with the Junos, because it'd be great to see you your name called up on stage there.
That'd be amazing. I appreciate that.
Yeah. But yeah, we've got two questions we always ask every guest that comes on our show. The first, if there was a movie about your life, who would you want to star as you? Could be anyone from any point in time.
Brad Pitt. Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Well, a lot of people would say Brendan Fraser, because I get that. I don't know why. They're like, you look exactly like Brendan Fraser. I'm like, I love his acting, so maybe him. I'll pick him.
Okay. It's so funny. I just watched Troy last night with Brad Pitt.
Oh, so good. So good.
I was just like, man, I forgot how good that movie is.
Hector!
Hey, with the hair, you can kind of pass for him. With the hair,
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
You just got dyed a little blonde. That's it.
I just got to maybe hit the gym a little more, and then.
And the last question we have before we go. If you could give one piece of advice to your younger self, what would it be?
Just be authentic. Just be you. That's how anyone in this business or any business really can succeed. And you just have to be genuine, because people know what is fake and what isn't fake, and you're not going to be happy if you're anyone but yourself.
Love that. Great advice.
Yeah. Jade, if people want to find out more about you, what you're doing, where can they go? How can they find you?
Just type my name into Instagram or Facebook or any of those platforms. I'll be on it. I just got a TikTok thing, but I don't know how to use it. But I'm learning. You can learn with me.
Love that.
There you go.
I made a TikTok at the beginning of COVID, and it's sometimes it can get funny. Me and the mom and dad, we had some good laughs on it earlier. But again, appreciate you coming on, taking the time to chat with us. It's been an absolute pleasure. We'll make sure we share all your links to all your socials in the comments. And yeah, other than that, it's been a blast, guys. If you've made it to this part of the podcast, please subscribe. Follow us all on socials, and that's it. Signing off, pals. Cheers.
Awesome. Cheers, guys.
See you
Happy
guys.
Saturday.
Stay out for a second.
Yeah.
I'm going to stop the recording.